Hi.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're good.
Hello. I'm just here to see that all is good and you and the connection is.
It seems to be working okay, which is a miracle. I wasn't expecting it to be. I was dubious, but it seems to be really good. So, and I wasn't expecting to see you. I thought we were going to just have audio, so it's a real treat to be able to see you as well. So even better.
Yeah, but if the audio seems to get worse, then I think we have to turn off the video. But as far as it's good, then we can do it with the video.
No worries at all. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's so kind of you to take the time out to do it, because I know you're busy ladies. In Germany, I believe, at the moment. Am I right in thinking?
Yes.
The last 2 shows of the tour today.
Oh, okay. And how's it gone then so far?
Actually, really good. Yeah, the audience has been really warm. So different from Estonian audience, who usually they don't really express their emotions during the concert. But here we really get the you really feel the warmth during the concert, which is really nice.
I think they react to everything, which is so cool. That's not something that Estonians do, really.
That's interesting. That's really interesting, because I was going to come on to that a little bit later and ask you about the different audiences and how they alter, because I know you've been on tour in like Uzbekistan and Japan, I think, and obviously various other European countries as well, and how that alters. So, you know, they're getting the warmth from the German crowds. And am I right in thinking you've been in Switzerland as well?
Yeah, exactly. We've been going back and forth. We're in the border town right now, so Switzerland, 10 minutes with the train. So
you're so lucky. To paint a picture where I am, I thought I'd give you a little bit of background. I probably know more about you through the power of Googling and various things and internet stalking than you know about me. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about me to give you a bit of an idea. Not that there's an awful lot to tell you, to be honest with you. It's not that exciting. You're far more interesting, which is the reason why I'm interviewing you. So I have a radio program in the north of England. I live in a place called Wakefield. I don't know how familiar you are with the UK at all. Have you visited before, or?
Yeah.
Briefly.
Briefly was enough. That was it. Just once and then straight out. So I live in a place called Wakefield. It's about 12 miles from a place called Leeds, which is in the north of England. And there's a radio station not far from there called Sine FM that I have a radio show on. And it's called The Layover. And the idea of The Layover was that I wanted to play music from various different places in the world, because I just love music generally. It doesn't matter where it's from, the genre at all. And I was thinking about being in an airport. You're in the departure lounge of an airport. You've got all these various different people from different cultures and different countries all mingling together in that place. So that's where the inspiration, the idea of The Layover came from. So play music, I say, play new guys, everything from sort of new wave, electronica, folk music, everything. And came across duo Ruut. I think it was on Radio 3. I could be wrong, BBC Radio 3. And immediately I was captivated. Listened to your records, chose one, played it on the show, and then immediately just got people emailing in, like, what was that? Like, what was the name of that again? And who are these guys? So I thought, need to jump on this immediately and see if we can get an interview. So yeah, I really appreciate it. It's really, really kind of you. So I've got a few questions lined up. It's really informal. And what I intend on doing, if it's okay with you, is sort of editing it down. I'll send you a copy of what we've recorded so you can have a listen to it through. Obviously get some music in there as well. And then I'm going to put it out on the show maybe in a couple of weeks' time.
Sounds good.
Excellent. All right. So I've got a few questions. So apologies if I keep sort of looking down and referring to notes and things like that. I'm not being rude or watching the cricket or anything like that at all. I mean, I suppose like the first question that I was going to ask regarding playing live, because the music, there's so many bands that you can listen to. I'm thinking bands like Pink Floyd and sort of programs where the music is made for the studio and they try their very best to replicate that live. And then there's people like yourself where it feels as though it's a living, breathing, organic thing that you're watching that you then have to try and capture on the record. So how does that work for you when you are trying to play that live? Is that a difficult thing when you have got audiences, like you were talking about your Estonian audiences, that maybe a little bit of background noise and talking? How does that interfere with your performance?
Well, the big thing about us performing live, which you cannot hear in the recordings, is that we are facing each other on stage. So we don't really see the people. We are kind of in our own bubble. And we stand like this because we're playing one instrument, the Estonian zither. So I guess we are quite immune to all kinds of situations. But I guess the better the concert for us, the thicker the bubble around us. So a bit more difficult situations cause us to maybe notice it more, but still being able to not look at the audience, it's a very Estonian thing, I think. Yeah. And we got lucky because no Estonian wants to look at the crowd. Okay, that's too much, but a generalization, I don't know, it's a stereotype. Estonians don't want to look at each other.
That's interesting. Yeah. Whereas in the UK, we would love you to be facing it, but it makes it so much more interesting. And that's the first thing that really charmed me when I was watching you live, is that you were so in the zone. It's almost like this unshakable concentration, and it's amazing. And I watched the show where you played in Uzbekistan, and it was an amazing venue. And sadly, there was a little bit of background noise. And I think the person that had interviewed you then got you in the hotel room playing as well, and it transformed the whole thing. Obviously, the music's the same, but even with background noise going on, you were so in the zone. It's amazing to watch. I've never seen anything like it. It's captivating.
Yeah, I like to think that we're like one working machine. We couldn't work without each other.
Yeah,
and we're around this one instrument.
Yeah,
because that's the situation the instrument puts us in.
Yeah, exactly.
That.
So nice to hear.
we have to play it together, because we sometimes, I don't know, I hit the chords and she mutes them, and so we kind of it's all intertwined on the instrument, I think. Yeah, because I think it's the process of creating the songs creates those situations. Exactly. Because first, like, it always varies whether the instrument seems so small. Because it is one instrument, just a wooden box with strings on it, and it seems so small. And then we get some ideas, and the next moment we don't have enough hands to do all the things that we want to do on it.
Right.
So that's why we kind of have to use everything in our disposal to play it. Yeah. And that's why we describe it as a machine.
I love that description, a machine. You've kind of brought me around to a question I was going to ask it a little bit later, but I'm going to ask it now. It's more to do with the recording process, and when you're going through the writing process to begin with. What is the temptation? You talk about you've got these 4 hands on an instrument that is actually made for just 2 hands. So already you've completely reimagined how that instrument. I think it's called the Kemmel. Am I pronouncing it?
Connell with an N.
Connell. Yeah. Connell.
Yeah. Connell,
right, okay, Connell. Is there a temptation to, when you're recording, for example, to multi-track, to add different layers in? You say you sort of run out of things. You use the bow, you use the sticks. Is there that temptation there to think, we could bring this in, we could bring that in? And are you worried that would change it too fundamentally?
You mean in the recording process?
Well, the writing process and the recording process as well, yeah. Because I've listened to the recordings and I'm trying to pick out if there's lots of multi-tracking going on. Doesn't sound like it, but you guys know.
Yeah, like so far we have tried to keep our instrument, our songs as simple as it can be, like without any effects or anything. But recently we've been experimenting with them, but I mean, there's so much you can get out of this one instrument. Even we didn't believe it, and sometimes after the concerts people come to us and ask, did you use any effects or something? Was it just this one instrument, and then it's like one instrument, you can get so many different sounds out of it.
That's got to be such a compliment to you as well when you've played a show and people coming up to you asking those questions. That's really amazing. Yeah, I like the idea of experimenting, but yeah.
Yeah, but as of like recordings, we have kept it just the sitar and our vocals, but of course, since in the recordings you cannot see, you don't get the live experience, then we have like overdub vocals or recorded extra voices, because we still believe that recordings are not the same as live, and our lives have their own magic, and recordings have their own. So, but we have always kept it confined to the sitar and our vocals.
Exactly.
That comes across in the music, though. You know, I've listened to your music in the car. I've listened to it whilst I've been doing the washing up. I've listened to it laid in bed, and you depending on the environment, it does change completely. But you are transported there. But it feels fundamentally live. It feels like you're part of this performance, and it's so tight and so synchronized. And you almost feel like a voyeur, like particularly when you're watching you live, like you're almost shouldn't be there, you know, like you're kind of like peeping through and watching this intimate moment. Yeah,
that's what people say quite a lot, that they feel like they shouldn't be there, and they're looking at something too intimate, which is an interesting thing to hear.
Yeah,
because that was never like our intention.
No,
because the way we play it was like a complete happy accident, I should say. So we just started to play it this way, and then we got the feedback, which is so interesting.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that as well. So I'm right in thinking you're childhood friends, so you've known each other for forever, and you studied music, and you obviously played different instruments as well, but you came to the kennel a little bit later on. So do you think that has helped you in reimagining that instrument, because you didn't have that academic grounding in the way that you would do if you played the piano or bass or whatever it happens to be?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's why the timing, that when we got to the instrument, it was really good, because we had been making music and playing our instruments and listening to a lot of music before, and then kind of this new instrument unlocked a like whole new world for us, in its weird sounds, and I don't know, it was so strange for us because we hadn't played anything like it, and but we had the knowledge of music and from coming from different sides, like more of like a pop jazz side and classical, and that was like almost like a playground for us to experiment and just have fun.
And the fact that we hadn't learned how to play it really helped to like invent our own techniques, because we weren't like put into a frame. We were just doing whatever we wanted. And we didn't know what was right, what was wrong, we just experimented.
I love that. Are there kennel purists out there that see you and say, they start tutting and go, no, they're playing that wrong, and they're not happy with that? Or are you kind of hopeful that there are young people that are watching you that are going to pick that instrument up and reimagining it in the way that you have?
I think we have had feedback from both sides. We call it the trad police. They are a tough crowd. Please, but we have also gotten like really good feedback from the sitar players, and some people have even told us that they started playing it because of us, and we kind of do our part to like kind of popularize it, because it's not really considered a cool instrument, you know.
I think you're making it cool. I've been looking on eBay for them, so you're making it cool, definitely. Yeah.
Actually, someone told us that some sitar player, gunner player, or teacher even, like, how didn't I think of playing it like this?
Amazing.
Like, he had been playing it for like for ages, and then like, how didn't I think of playing it like this?
I think this is it. I mean, I don't play too many instruments, play a little bit of piano and guitar mainly. I started playing guitar when I was 8. And of course you taught the rules and you taught the basics. And if you do that wrong, you were told very quickly, that's wrong. Your fingering position's incorrect and you're holding that the wrong way. And you were taught a particular framework. And then it's very difficult to break away from that particular framework. So I think it's really interesting how you came to it. It's amazing.
I think it's a bit like how you see children making music and trying instruments. We kind of got a second childhood with that, because children are usually like as free when trying things, because they don't have the either they don't have the teacher or they don't have the mindset themselves that we get as we age, that you should do things correctly. There's one way to do it. And so that's why I think we got lucky that we got this second childhood with it.
I also think it's easier with this instrument because it's not that well known,
Mm-hmm.
and there are not as many people who can tell you that, oh, you're playing it in the wrong way. Like, I mean, with a guitar, it might be quite harder, or with a piano. Of course, people do that, but like play it in the wrong way. But I think it's easier with this instrument, maybe.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular piece that you really look forward to playing live? And do you have one that you dread because of its complexity? Because I've played in bands before where there was always that one song where you just couldn't wait to play it because it was just fun or the audience reacted in a particular way. But there was always that one in the set list where you were really dreading because you know there was a complicated solo or drum fill or something that you had to do. I just wonder if that's the case with you.
I think generally, of course, the songs change because naturally, when we take something to our live set, then at first it's new, and almost all of our songs have been really complicated for us at first because everything we do is new for us. But I think right now,
I think the one that we really look forward to play is Tantsma kutsumine. For the audience.
But it's difficult as well, rhythmically.
It's both, but it's like,
I would say for me, the most liked for me to play live is Vere sõnad.
Loud words.
Yeah, because it really has the flow for me.
Yeah.
But I think,
and it's not too difficult to play too.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it has this one difficult part for me. When I have this thing with the drumsticks, which is hard to get right.
You get lost in the rhythms completely. You know, you latch onto a particular part in what you're playing, and you think, okay, I've got an angle on this. I know what they're doing here. I've got that, and then all of a sudden you'll come in with the drumsticks or whatever it happens to be, and it changes everything, and your mind goes somewhere completely different. It's very hypnotic and almost trance-inducing, I found. Maybe not the good thing to listen to in the car, maybe that. But yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, but I would say Vere sõnad, but that's the one drumstick part where it's kind of a work in progress for me to find, because playing the zither with drumsticks, it's a quite difficult task because I'm not a drummer, I'm a bass player. So it's different, like the bounce back on strings, on wood, on single string, on chord, on the like side of the instrument, and so I had to kind of change the way I hold the drumsticks on different parts. So I think one of the most difficult things live for me is the part which is the da 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 da, which for some reason it's just difficult.
It doesn't sound like it.
No, you cover it very well, I have to say. You know, there's no evidence of you struggling with that at all. You always have the smile on your face. No, completely.
But I think one of the songs that is usually the most troublesome is, for me, it's maybe Nightingale.
Exactly, my thoughts.
Yeah, because it just for some reason has some tricky stuff, and since it's not the one that's constantly in our set list.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think we played it less maybe than some of the other songs.
Mhm.
So yeah, but there is some difficult stuff coming that we are creating right now.
I'm looking forward to it.
We're trying to, with every song, kind of step up the technicality as well, because that's where we kind of keep it interesting for us as well, and feel that we really develop the style of playing. And
it's about keeping it interesting, isn't it? And evolving, definitely. It's interesting you mentioned Nightingale because it's the one that's sung in English. So from an English speaker is listening to it and don't speak any Estonian at all, because all of a sudden I'm aware of the lyrics, I'm aware of the story that you're telling in there, that takes me into a completely different place as well. And is it different for you guys? Obviously, you're speaking and singing in Estonian and in English, and you can understand both. From a non-Estonian speaker, it must be very difficult to separate that for you and to be able to appreciate how that must sound for somebody that doesn't actually hear the words in the way that you do.
Yeah, but I think we realized that the language doesn't really matter in music. And we've got feedback on that. And actually, one time we did a really small experiment with a guy from Argentina, and we wanted him to guess what our songs are about. And mostly he was right, or at least some kind of a theme or feeling, or so. That was like a proof that the language doesn't really matter.
That's fascinating, yeah, that it transcends boundaries completely. That's really interesting, yeah. That brings me around to one of the things I was going to ask you, because you talked before about how there's this incredible database and of work that's been catalogued, you know, in the folk traditions, like the Seto folk traditions. And from what I understand, a lot of that Seto culture was threatened a lot during the 20th century, to the point where it was almost dying out. So it's amazing that there are these canons of work and things have been catalogued and you've got access to those online. So what is your process for dipping into those catalogues, choosing pieces that you think are going to translate well on the zither and that you're going to be able to, you know, pay homage to?
Lately, our routine has been like this, that we just talk with each other what we want the song to be about, right, or the feeling,
or the vibe or the mood, or like very vaguely.
And then we both just start to search for the lyrics. It's a really nice database where you can search by words or by theme or whatever, so it's really easy to find some really nice lyrics. And
and there are like thousands upon thousands of texts, which is quite massive for such a small country.
Exactly. And then we start to lately we've been doing that. We kind of take those lyrics and they're like a puzzle that we like solve, or how do I say it? Like, before we took one song or just one set of lyrics, but now we've been doing it like we took lyrics from different texts.
Combine them.
Combine was the word.
To fit the theme that we want to talk about. Whereas earlier we just thought, okay, we want a spell, or we want a fisherman song, which was cool as well. But I feel like now we have gotten way more selective, and we want to hit the exact spot that we want to hit with the mood or the vibe
that's
we have imagined.
That's not how I expected you to do it. But that's almost makes it more magical for somebody that is from outside of that culture and not able to speak the language. Like you say, the fact that, you know, that I don't speak Estonian, it really doesn't matter at all. And you do feel that, but knowing that you sort of feel a mood and you look for something that relates to that, it makes it even more captivating and magical. And I was reading a little bit about like the Seto and how there's a song for everything. from what I understand, and pretty much whatever the thing, whatever's going on in life, you know, be it birth, death, marriage, farming, anything at all, there's something out there. So I'd imagine for you, that's an amazing resource to be able to dip into and take from that.
Yeah, really, there is a song for everything. But the funny thing about the Estonian tradition is that, for example, there are, there are a lot of songs and a lot of texts, but most of them are kind of about bad things. So if we want to make a happy song, it sometimes is difficult, because we just talked the other day that I feel like the most popular themes in the Estonian tradition are like death, poverty, hunger, and then the most popular of all is a woman regretting the choice of man.
Wow.
So
that's probably a universal theme, I reckon. You probably find that everywhere.
Yeah, but truly there is a song for everything, and even like spells, you have a spell for everything and against everything. So you only have to search.
Do you feel like custodians of these pieces of music or these songs? You know, they've been recorded, they've often been passed down like as part, like the oral tradition. You've suddenly got your hands on them. Do you feel like you, I don't know, not own them, but that you've got to protect them in some way?
I feel like one of our philosophies with this music is that we have to sometimes take away from the traditional side, maybe not take away, but change things that some people say shouldn't be changed or shouldn't be done like we do. But we feel like we have to do it to make young people listen to it.
Yeah.
Make young people enjoy the music that we make, which is our tradition, our music and our traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel it's a delicate thing. When is it too much to take away from the traditional side? Well, when like combining texts or changing any melodies, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we feel like it's a good quote from the movie La La Land, I feel like, or a good idea that to keep something you have to make young people listen to it.
Yeah.
It was with jazz, but it goes the same with the traditional.
Yeah, I mean, if we kept it really authentic, then we wouldn't have. Some people wouldn't listen to us.
Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have this wide reach that we have now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel that's really the only way to keep the traditions that we want to keep, and that's, of course, it's like one of our missions. Apart from just making good music and doing what we enjoy. So
you make very good music, and it's great because I never would have thought a month ago, before discovering you, that I would be watching UNESCO films about Estonia and Seto and all these various different types of folk music. And the fact that you've made it accessible to me and to people that listen to my radio show, they're going to go out and hopefully learn a little bit more about Estonian culture as well. So it's working. What you're doing is clearly working really well, and you obviously enjoy it, because you can tell that immediately. You know, just talking to you, that you're loving it. You're not sick of it. It seems when you're playing live, it seems like the thrill's there for you still.
Yeah, really it is, because I think even with the one set of songs that we have, or two sets or whatever, we always discover some new things, or for me it's like unlocking new meanings behind the words, for example. Like on stage you sing it, and while I'm singing it I realize like, oh, maybe that's also what they meant with those lyrics, and it gets like deeper and deeper for me with those same texts and songs.
Sorry, go on, continue.
Yeah, so it's like an endless hole, I feel like.
I was going to ask you, when you're writing, you're going through the process of writing, you've talked a little bit about it. I've just got a message coming up saying that we've got 10 minutes before we're going to disappear into the ether. How democratic is it? Like, how do you decide, like, Katariina, you're going to do this, Ann-Lisett, this is what I'm going to do? Does it just evolve naturally as you're playing, or is there some framework that you stick to?
No, we always do everything together, because as we said, we're this one machine.
Yes.
It couldn't work if one was doing more.
Yeah.
So we always have to like work on it together.
Yeah.
So it's always equal, I should say.
Yeah, and I guess it comes quite naturally, because there are things that we want to achieve, and there's usually like it is like a puzzle, and then there's one logical way to do something. Like I do these things, and she does the other things.
Yeah.
And everything we do kind of serves a purpose, because there is a lot to do on the sitar, because we want to like pack the songs full of things.
Yes.
So there is a lot to do, and a lot to remember to do when we compose the songs.
And that's why when we write this music, then I have to remember what you're doing, and you have to remember what I'm doing.
Sometimes, but those things we forget.
Yeah.
Like right now.
It's easy to forget.
That the other
I mean, in the beginning, like when we haven't performed it yet, and we're still in the process of like practicing it, and we're like, oh, what did you do there? Yeah. Okay, I think you were doing something.
That's another good question. When you're composing and you're writing, do you have it recording in the background so that you can remember what you've done, or is it in there? How does it work?
Yeah, we record our rehearsals, but usually we kind of try to work it in before, and then we record to remember the next rehearsal.
Yeah.
But I think the most important is to just get it into muscle memory, because there is a lot to do, and singing at the same time.
And we don't only record, we also film sometimes, because he hears what we're playing, or how exactly,
who does what,
and
how did I do that? Yeah,
exactly.
and then one thing that we still have to remember is that, which we tend to forget when rehearsing, is that we will have microphones in front of our faces, so we usually don't see what we're playing. Cool. So we kind of have to really know where the things are that we want to hit, or
and there's a lot of things on that zither that you need to hit, and I was looking at it in close detail, and there's bits of colored tape and all sorts of things, so to not be able to see it and visualize it, you're very talented.
I think it's one perk of a fairly small instrument, which is a curse at the same time, I think, because everything is so close to each other. Of course, sometimes we mess up, but it's
part
since
of it.
The instrument is only A major and 3 chords, there's only so much you can mess up, because something always fits.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is very true. It doesn't sound like you're messing up at all to me when I'm listening to it live. You know, I don't know whether or not there's anything out there on YouTube where you watch it back and you think, oh man, can't believe I did that. And it doesn't come across anyway. I wanted to, before we finish off, because I'm sort of aware of the time, just ask you about your touring schedule for the rest of this year, because I know that you're in Lisbon at the World Music Expo, the WMEX, representing Estonia. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels really good. We're really excited. Actually, we were there last year, just visiting, not performing. And then we saw what the Sol festival is like. And we were really excited and like dreaming or thinking about performing there. And
this year you are.
Yeah, and we are now. And
so exciting.
It was like great news. So.
Well, congratulations. And do you have any plans to visit the UK and compare the German audiences and the Estonian audiences with the UK? Because I can promise you we will not talk. We'll be very quiet and very respectful.
We don't have anything in the calendar yet, but
we have ideas.
We have ideas, yeah. So you can keep an eye on our website. That's where we update our schedule or our concerts. So yeah.
We would love to see you without question. And I know the listeners to the show are going to love this. And, you know, it's such a warm response when I played you a couple of weeks ago. So I'm really looking forward to getting this out there for them and play some more of your music. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, because I know it's hard work when you were touring, and I'm sure the last thing you want to do was sit in your hotel room and chat to me. There's far better things to be doing with your time. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem at all. No, pleasure's all mine. It really is. And best of luck with everything else as well. Looking forward to seeing what you come up with next.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
Take care. See you later.
Yeah,
See you. Bye.